The first thing I want to follow up on, I mentioned it kind of in the middle of the questioning, is I'm a little resistant to broad gender generalizations. All women are this way, all men are this way. I've been personally fighting against them my whole life. I feel part of my life calling is to create cognitive dissonance in people against those generalizations. The first is to be a female warrior, and the second is to be a Republican feminist. My new calling. And these types of arguments, quite frankly, were used to continue to keep women out of things like what I did with my life, being a fighter pilot. We listened to people testify before Congress about how women don't have the capability to be warriors, and we couldn't for a variety of different reasons, and lumping us all in together. America is about treating people as individuals and giving every individual, men and women, the opportunity to meet their full potential, and that's really what the vision is here, to look at each person as an individual and to make sure that they are able to have the same opportunity as anybody else to achieve their full dreams and their full potential. The reality is biases still exist. They've been mentioned up here and throughout the course of this hearing. They're very, very real, and we've talked a little bit about them, where women going in to negotiate a higher salary is even viewed differently by the male employer, about being a little too pushy, where the man is seen as being assertive. Again, we've got the different labels about strong women being assertive in leadership and how they are seen back and forth. I used to go visit schools as a fighter pilot, and oftentimes the principal or the teacher would say, a fighter pilot is coming tomorrow, and all the little boys would get excited. And then I would walk in the door and all the little girls would get excited. I mean, these biases exist. They would be confused for a moment, and then the girls would be like, yeah! These biases exist, and they exist at a very early age. And I think, again, these are complex issues, and I appreciate all of your perspectives on this, but they're still very real. And when I'm listening to women in my community that I represent, the biases, the double standards, and the flat-out discrimination is still very real. And by the way, some of us on this panel have experienced that ourselves. And so I just want to make sure that we, as this working group, are acknowledging, as we're wrapping up here, that there are biases out there. There is discrimination out there. And when you're now looking at it mathematically, which is more witnesses on the end here, you're looking at sort of the studies. Yes, from closing that wage gap to about 95% can be accounted by from the things that have been mentioned in this hearing, going into lower paying career fields, looking for more flexibility, moving in and out of the workforce, all those types of things. But there is still the 95 to a dollar, and you can't measure it completely, but there is still blatant discriminations out there. Somebody who's very close to me, daughter, just entered the financial services industry, straight out of college, sitting around, finds out that she's getting paid way less than the guys, same degrees, same everything next to her. And as they're going in for their job performances, they're being told how to be mentored and to, meet the next level, and she's being told that she needs to smile more and bring in more cookies and things. So these things are real, okay? This is not just the tyranny of the anecdote. There are many women across the spectrum, girls and women, that are still experiencing these things. So I want to make sure, I want to give the opportunity, because I don't want the wrong message to come out of this panel. You all agree that biases and discrimination still exist, and flat-out discrimination still exists out there. Is that true? Can we just get a yes?
Yeah,
everybody? Yes. Okay, thank you. Again, I don't want the wrong message to be coming out of this. As we're trying to measure, it's difficult to measure.
It is.
It seems like it's somewhere in that 95 cents of the dollar, but it's still very real. And there's a lot of women, by the way, who are not going to the EEOC. Yep. They may be trying to just be in their own trench and fight it for themselves, but then they don't do anything else about it because they don't feel like they can, or they don't even know about it. Another thing I want to mention, Mr. Biggs, you talked about the pharmacists, but when I met with groups in my community, they pointed out to me that the real reason the pay gap is closed with pharmacists is because men wages are going down, not because women's are going up. And so we've got to make sure that we're actually looking at what's going on in each of those career fields. And I don't know if you have a comment on that, but that was pointed out to me by some of the experts in my community that I met with.